this adaptation from Wall Street, you see it, say, on the asset management side. And by the way, our friend Vivek Ramaswamy over at Strive Asset Management, they're coming up with some innovative products, and he's actually pushing his state of Ohio to also back Bitcoin in different ways. But not everybody's on board, right? And there's a difference between maybe the banks, the financial institutions, and the asset managers themselves. When I say not everyone's on board, I think about what Jamie Dimon told CBS News this past weekend. Let's take a listen to this, because he was a little critical there. I believe he's equating Bitcoin to a pet rock. Watch.
You've said that it's as useless as a pet rock. What do you really think?
You're going to have some kind of digital currency at one point. So I'm not against crypto. Bitcoin itself has no intrinsic value. It's used heavily by sex traffickers, money launderers, ransomware. So I just don't feel great about Bitcoin. I applaud your ability to want to buy or sell it. Just like I think you have the right to smoke, but I don't think you should smoke.
Since he...
Is there, dare I say, an incentive for JPMorgan's CEO to be kind of hesitant on Bitcoin and other cryptos?
Yes, there is. I mean, he's the basically runs the largest bank in the United States, and he's the defender of the old system and the traditional financial system. And very clearly, he views Bitcoin as a threat to traditional banking and to JP Morgan and to all the different ways that JP Morgan makes money through credit card lending and transactions and all of these areas of banking that are likely to be disrupted by technologies that build off of Bitcoin. I think it's getting a little bit, a few years ago when he talked about pet rock or just money laundering, this and that, it's like, it feels like it's getting a little tired. We're at 2 trillion. We're at there's no intrinsic value. There's $2 trillion, 16 years later, there's $2 trillion of market value associated with, this digital form of money called Bitcoin. And, we can still have the debate about, but okay, it's just ones and zeros. There's nothing backing the US dollar either. It's also a convention, a shared belief. But the Bitcoin network is working, and I think it's a little bit. I mean, he's obviously defending his position, but it's just getting a little stale, because if anything, the direction of travel is clearly for this network to continue to grow and attract more capital.
And you know what I'm amazed by? Trump gets that. Trump gets that, and he's an older guy, right? So you could say, oh, it's generational, but and unfortunately, the viewers that are watching CBS News tend to be kind of the camp where they don't understand Bitcoin either. And I get it. I mean, I hear from a lot of viewers here, and I'm just like, you know what? I told my mom, she's a great example. Maybe back in September, I'm like, Mom, you really, really, I don't understand Bitcoin. I don't know what it is. And I'm like, just trust me. Cause the financial system is getting disrupted here. And there's going to come a day when all the kinds of things that exist, say on the New York Stock Exchange, are not going to exist, because you're going to be able to do all of this electronically, all via blockchain. And so when I look at, say, maybe some of those memes that, I don't love the memes, I think to myself, what if those were stocks that were being traded on these blockchains? What if the blockchains became like the exchanges, or, as you and I have talked about, for example, I'll use Ethereum as one sort of case study. Ethereum, where you don't need all the lawyers, you don't need, when it comes to derivative products, you can basically write everything into the code, so everything happens instantaneously, cheaply, boom, it's there. You don't need the JP Morgans with the whole sort of stale financial system that they've built up to exist, not unless they're willing to, I guess, keep pace with things. I kind of look at another one of Larry Fink's ventures, which is the Texas Stock Exchange, and Texas being kind of a disruptor in and of itself, just the state alone, right? Don't mess with Texas, might have a real opportunity there if they're willing to adapt some of these new technologies and take us forward. U.S. is the financial capital of the world. We want to continue being the financial capital of the world, but I think part of that means changing. And I think, it's natural, right? Like a JPMorgan is going to resist that.
Yeah, I mean, this is disruptive technology. Larry Fink, he gets, because of his foray into ESG, I think he's perceived.
He's been vilified. The DEI and the ESG. I don't think he'll ever live that down, even though he wrote a letter saying, it's over. It's done.
Yeah. No, he earned that badge of dishonor. I think in terms of, to your point, I mean, he's not a banker, right? He doesn't represent the banking system. He just manages money. And so he's aligning himself with trends in, where asset values are headed. So he's going to get through the crypto ETFs, he's going to get kind of a slice of the growth of that sector. He doesn't really care about what happens to traditional banking. That's not, they both kind of seem to represent old Wall Street, but actually, there's a nuance there. And Fink is on the side of decentralized finance, and has because he knows that's where the world is headed, right? Yep. I mean, he's not going to hitch his wagon to the past.